Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
And one thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Yo, what's good, peoples? Peace and blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Monday. I hope all is well with everybody. Thank you for being here. Shout outs to the people in the chat. Shout outs to the people all across social media spaces. We're going to have us a nice, good old King's conversation, man. I got my boy Zay in the building. I got Coach in the building. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators. I got a clip for y'all I want to play, and I want to get y'all thoughts, man. This is going to be an interesting one, you know. Let me go ahead and bring the crew up here to the big stage, man, and let's get this thing started. Matter of fact, real quick, while I'm at it, let me do this, because I told y'all the last time we spoke I was going to have this ready for y'all. Hold on a minute. If you want to get in contact with Brother Trill, there you go, right there. Scan that. That'll take you right to him. To the brothers out there, man, you need to talk with somebody. Y'all going through things, anything. Hit him up, man. Solid brother, man. Let me go ahead and get us started up here real quick, though. Trill, Zay, what up?
Yo, what up, man? Appreciate that shout out. That little plug, appreciate that.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today on this Monday?
Good, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Just happy to be alive.
You got the colors, man. You got the colors, man. I like that.
Thank you.
When you swap them out, I got me a nice little collection too, but I don't be throwing mine on like that. But salutes.
Thanks, man.
Trail, you shop. I see you with the piece on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, just you want to look good, feel good. You know what I mean? Feel good, look good.
Right on. Well, look, man, you sent me this, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's what's up. Let's do this. Cause I didn't spoke with her before, but nothing like this right here. So, it's going to be interesting to hear both of y'all's perspective on control media in general. I'm gonna bring this up on a big screen. I'm gonna let it play out, And we're gonna go from there. All right. Oh yeah, to the people that's in the building, man. Let me know how y'all feel about Candace Owens, how you feel about Ericka Kirk, just anything in general that you might have on your heart. This is like 3 minutes, 20 seconds.
So remember a few days ago when I posted the video that the Ericka Kirk and Candace Owens thing is great for some because it does help open the eyes and awaken some people that are very, very asleep, but that it is a controlled narrative, that Candace Owens is controlled opposition. And of course, it turns out I'm right. Yesterday, they had their private meeting in Nashville, no cameras, press, nothing like that. It's all a mystery. And today, every single post on Charlie Kirk is all of a sudden scrubbed clean from Candace Owens' Instagram. Like it's in its entirety. This is what a controlled opposition looks like. And it's what happens when they circle too close to the truth. They have to be shut down. The narrative completely gets wiped clean. They have to go through like a sanitizing tour, and the puppets will reset the stage, and they all hope that we're too stupid to remember and we're too numb and dumbed down by our technology and the fact that most Americans are bleeding dry currently to even dig anymore. That's what they're hoping. And you all need to hold their hands to the fire. This isn't just a PR move. This is how the false alliances of sort implode under real light. Everyone on the internet has hopped on this, way more than what they expected. They thought it would just happen and it wouldn't have the reaction from the people the way that it has. And so when you get that close and all this real light is shined on it, this is the end result. You can't claim truth and being a truther while you still bend the knee and serve the masters behind closed doors. You can't serve Oz and claim to be a truth forward truther bringing podcaster. The silence that is coming in, it echoes exactly what that meaning was. And if you think that this isn't strategic, like, come on, like, think again. This machine is now on a giant rebranding mission, to absorb what would be the next wave of awakening people. And they see it. They see people opening their eyes and erasing their name from the spell. And remember, you guys all have this power. Take back your power. But a lot of people are still learning truly how psyops even work. So you have to pay attention to every detail of this, not what is said, but also what suddenly disappears. So remember a few days ago when I posted.
All right. Before we even go into some of these questions, let's start with the actual video itself. You got a chance to hear it in its entirety. I'm sure everybody here has a little bit of understanding of who she is and what she does and what this is all about. What's you guys' initial thoughts just off of the watch? Zay, how you feeling? You on mute, bro?
Yeah, sorry, it took a second to press, but I will just say that she's right. I think that there are ways corporations or higher up would try to silence you from speaking the truth in any situation, especially something as sensitive as Charlie Kirk. That topic itself, you gotta watch what you say when it comes to that specific topic. And I feel like, yeah, like the moment you start speaking on something, there are gonna be people out there that are gonna try to silence you. So I agree with this video 100%.
Now,
Yeah, I
now,
agree. Oh, go ahead. Get in. Go ahead. Get.
I was just going to say, you brought this specific one to me, so yeah, I'm curious. How did you feel about this video itself?
Well, yeah, I had brought it up because we were talking about nobody was talking about Charlie Kirk but Candace Owens, and then all of a sudden, within 24 hours, her whole account was sanitized. So it was just more or less validating your point that nobody was talking about it, and then once she went and sat down with the spouse, and everything was sanitized within 24 hours afterwards. But that's what I was going to say. I agree with Shep. Is everybody's on the same team because it just looked like it was marketing. She was talking about all the things that was happening, and then it just built up to this large climax, and then now everybody's going back. It seems like more creative marketing in the environment that we live in now is build up anticipation. There's and everybody's definitely got to be on the same team for it all to work. The way it's strategically orchestrated and working. It takes a lot to put on a show. It takes a lot to exercise and go through these things and these points, and for them to happen so precisely. So it's definitely questioning, and leads you to think, lean towards a certain way.
Candace Owens has been doing this for a significant amount of years, right? And one of my pet peeves is scrolling social media for different opinions and points of views from different sources, because I try to be open and available to different pieces of knowledge that I might not know about, because I'm always trying to learn something. It doesn't really matter if you're 5 years old or if you're 66. Somebody always has value. And when I came across her initially and I saw the numbers aside, the way that she always articulated herself, it felt refreshing, right? Because in our culture on social media, you don't get a lot of women, especially of our complexion, who speak so fluently like that, right? You have some who do, but it's very far in between. So I'm listening to the way that she talks, and at the beginning, I'm like, this is something that I could get on board with. She's knowledgeable. She dresses appropriate for her audience. She's not half naked every time you see her. Her presentation is always on point. I give her a shot, right? And then you tend to eventually scroll off onto other platforms, and you have other people going into these, let me react to something that she said, or let me respond to something that she said to maybe disprove or to add further context into the things that she's discussing, to either make her look good or to confirm or deny that she is being very factual in her assertions. ultimately, as time progresses, just like everything else, you start to notice that there are some inconsistencies with her and others with what they put out. And I started to question whether or not she was a panderer and a grifter. And because I say that because there are just some people who know how to reach a specific audience based on their niche, and she has her own. She's rare, and you don't get a lot of people who carry themselves like her. So, long story short, a part of me I actually believe that she is under some type of control. To what degree, I'm not really there with my percentage on if it's up here or is it like kind of right here. But I don't put a lot of stock in to people like that as much as I used to. Things have drastically changed with my perception of media these days.
I think, and I agree with Shep, right? So I think you guys, you're looking at it from a different point of view. It's all one big exercise playing out in front of everybody, and everybody has a role pretty much, and everybody within the exercise is fulfilling their role, and they're just going through it. You can look at all the think pieces they have, on the assassination and all that stuff. It's so many of them out there. There's so much video footage, but you just look at the way the stuff plays out, and you look at the patterns. It's the same thing every time something happens in America. It all rolls out a certain way, and then the key players all act a certain way. It's the same thing. You just, once you start to identify the patterns and see the roles, and then see what it's leading up to, you start to put pieces to the puzzle together. But what you think about it? What you guys say?
I don't know. I got this question that's in my mind. Like, didn't like once politics came into play, didn't I learn the lines a little bit?
Inserted different players. Certain things have to happen in order for some people to get invited to the game. So that's what happens. Certain lines have to be crossed, and then it can be perceived a bad thing, but that's what triggers or allows somebody else to get involved.
Okay.
Also, politics have always been around, even on the most basic levels, from relationships to being at your 9 to 5. There's always some politics going on. When she started speaking on this, I remember I did a 30 to 40-minute reaction video. She was speaking on some footage that she had recovered from the actual the scene where there was a guy who was seen doing something with the camera behind him when he got assassinated. And she was very, very sure that there were some things that they were leaving out, that they were trying to hide. She goes on for a number of weeks talking about how close she was to him, how many inconsistencies there were. She was very adamant about it. And then there's another one that comes out where she's basically telling you if something happens to her, because there was confirmation that someone was trying to assassinate her from Israel, or it's either Israel or another country out there somewhere close. There was confirmation that someone was trying to assassinate her. So she has her documents in order. She wants to publicly let the people know this is what's going on. Y'all got the word. And then I was kind of out the loop after that. And then this video pops up with her and Ericka Kirk, and to think that all of that information, everything that she has spoken on, all of it just wiped off the face of the earth, completely butt naked. You don't have nothing to fall back on. Is extremely strange to me. Why would you do that? Why would you get rid of all of that content? Now, mind you, you got screen recording, you got screenshots, you got people who follow, you got millions of people following you. Somebody is going to have all of those clips, not if not all of them, a large portion of it. So, what would have been the point of getting rid of all of that information if there was no other agendas behind it? Um, here's a question for both of y'all, for anybody. What's a controlled narrative look like to you? What give me an example of what a controlled narrative looks like.
What you just watched. They want they put everything out there. They touched all the hearts and minds. They put all the tear jerkers out there. Redemption story from Candace Owens. She said all that stuff. She was taking a hard stand. Then she had a closed door meeting. All these alleged leaks and documents and all this stuff, and now they scraped the service clean. Yeah, you just saw one. They controlled the narrative for what they wanted you to see. And that's why they call it the psyops, man. You know, the psychology of it is I'm going to give you all the things that's going to trigger certain emotions, to get certain emotional responses from it. And that's what they study from people online all day long with your likes, your shares, all those type of things. That's how the algorithm learns and reads you. So what you're doing that, you basically giving them all your information on how to shoot and target to a certain demographic. And that's marketing 101 right there. The key thing about marketing is knowing what the people like and what they want in order to sell it to them. So in short.
Zay, let's say you turned on your TV right now and one of your favorite musicians decided to go on a podcast or go on a show and do an interview about their music, how they came into being in the position that they are, and you relate to it. Does that make you want to become them? Does that make you want to have their lifestyle? Does that make you want to live the way they did because of what they sold the public?
I would say maybe at first, but first going into, let's just say you are inspired by what's brought in front of you on the TV, right? At first, it sounds like a dream. It sounds like a a fairy tale when it's coming from someone else, right? But once you start actually doing the work yourself, the inspiration doesn't come from, they might inspire you to a certain degree, but moreover, you have to inspire yourself to become the musician that you want to be, or that other occupation that you want to be. So like for me per se, maybe it started out idolizing this person that I wanted to be, but eventually that idolization turns into motivation, and then you are able to inspire yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
Somebody just planted a seed, basically.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so in all actuality, what we have is a number of men and women who use these platforms to get access to more doors through reaching out to a specific group of people based on their interest, play on them interest, create this problem, and then they give you a solution for it, sensationalize it, and then once they complete the objective, then we basically put a script. The script is already written out. Now what you have to do is fall back and watch how everybody implodes afterwards. It's almost like at the beginning of the movie, it gives you a little bit of suspense to get you drawn in, and then throughout the movie, you start to see the build up. You get some highs, you get some lows. Towards the end of it, it's like, oh shit, I'm locked in. Let me go ahead and pause the movie. Let me go grab my drink and my snacks and stuff like that, and then come back. And then now you got cars blowing up, and you got people scaling windows and buildings. You got all of this mass hysteria. Then the protagonist meets the con, the enemy. So we're just watching people run a playbook. Is everything a script?
Yeah, man. And you're a consumer in every facet of it. You're either creating a product and distributing it, or you're consuming somebody's product. It's one of the two.
So is any of this real? Is any of these conversations legitimate? Are we really here because we care about our country? Are we really here because we care about the community? Are we really here because we care what's going on in Gaza? Are we really here because we care about the war on drugs? Or is this just all for entertainment?
To be honest, I would say if you really cared, would you all be online talking about it, or would you be somewhere taking action and executing? Because if everybody's online talking about it, now we're talking about perspectives of how you care and how you plan on contributing to said solution. So, I guess it can be up to perspective. And then that's why you got people that's not with the Peace Corps. They're not, volunteering in some third world country. But some people are, you know what I mean? So again, it's based on perspective. Some people may consider this to be their version of caring and contributing. But, it just depends on which way you want to pivot and have a conversation.
Say, what does a uncontrolled, uncensored media stream look like to you? What does that reflect?
Well, it looks like the podcast that we're on right now. We're able to see, we're able to say how we feel without someone, in our ears saying, nah, you can't say this. Nah, you should step away from this topic, or you should step away from that topic. We're free to say what's on our mind. So that's uncontrolled right there.
So, all right, follow-up question. Since we can do that, why does that not garner the same level of anticipation as it would if you started using hooks and keywords in order to get people to be like, oh shit, he said such and such, and oh shit, oh, we need. Why does that not happen? Now, Trail, you just said something that I absolutely agree with. Proactive. All right, we feel how we feel about this. Cool. Now what? Now what? We all know what's going on. Nobody here is dumb. Everybody watches the news. Everybody has social media. We know what's happening in our government. We know what's happening, if not bare minimum, what they are doing in some of these communities and some of these countries. We know how the system works. So being as how we can't really trust every single thing that we see and hear, what is stopping us from gravitating towards the things that are actually proactive and building upon that, instead of just constantly being drag-netted over here to the drama field stuff?
It looks like, man, that you have the wrong people in the right positions. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because every position that somebody's in is supposed to be doing something out there, they end up raising money, or you never hear about what happened with the money. You never see the execution. You always see the propaganda. You always see the promoting. You always see the advertisement. Everybody's big party planners, but you don't see the execution. And especially in the world where everybody's always got cell phones. You know what I'm saying? How is it no execution being recorded anywhere? But you got the marketing for the buildup. You got the marketing talking about the actual event, but you don't have any of it documented about the execution. You don't have any, and we're in a world now that everybody needs receipts. So after the execution, where's the interviews of how great and how successful the event was? Where's the interviews to say where they went wrong, the lessons learned, and how to make the next one better? Right? You don't hear about those type of things. You always hear about the other marketing. So, again, it's all about perspective. That's just my opinion. But, I see a lot of people, especially on the internet, talking about doing great things and advertising for doing, things for the community. And everybody I reach out to, they don't ever call me back. So again, let's hear about some of these unsuccessful stories and where you need more people to make a difference. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And you don't hear about that kind of stuff. So to answer your question about 4 or 5 times, that's what it is.
Can you be a reliable source and be compromised? Is that a thing?
What's your definition of reliable?
So you can, all right, I put it this way. Let's say Marasi 36 or Chef was my plug. They have all the intel. They know when the checks are coming out. They know when the flights are going. They know who's getting the awards on BET. They know when these shows are going to air. They have all the information. I'm getting it from them. However, I only give you bits and pieces of what they're telling you. I only tell you what they want me to tell you. Does that mean that you should still tune into me because I have all of this information? Does that still make me a reliable source?
Well, it depends on what you do with the information and the results you receive from the information. So that would be the definition of reliable, because your information, there was results from it. There was something to gain from it. Now, it doesn't have to mean it was like that all the time, but your hits got to be more than your misses. Because you got to, in the business, you always accept for losses, whether human error, you're dealing with food, whatever the case may be. So, yeah. But again, it's about perspective. And then it's, again, whose version of what a gain is, right? Because everybody's is different. But you have to do with that information and set some standards. Like everything else, man, it just can't be, a gut feeling. You got to rack and stack. Okay, what do we consider a success with this information? Because again, what's the point of you getting leaked the information? So if they're leaking it, they're controlling it, and are they controlling your results with the information? So again, it just depends on that as well. So you got to think about that. But again, it goes back to the conversation. It comes back to, that think tank, that, not basing things off emotion, using logic and strategic thinking and planning. So
Zay, I tell you, I know exactly what happened at 9/11, and then I'm right. But in the same breath, my next show is about such and such, and I completely lie about all of that. But because I told you about this before, it gives you reason to kind of give me the benefit of the doubt. Do you trust that?
I feel like me personally, I feel like I would still tune in sometimes just to see, because for me personally, I follow truth, right? So if you are speaking some type of truth, I'm gonna hear you out. But the moment you say that what you're saying, the moment that you speak something that is not truth, I feel like I can't trust you. So now that I can't trust you, how am I able to hear you out? In my opinion. But then again, it's all subjective. Like, I don't know. I feel like you have to take, like, kind of what Trell was saying. I mean, you have to take bits and pieces and do your own homework, investigate yourself, investigate the truth. You have to put it all together. If there's some truths, make a map with the truth on your own time. But if there's no truth, then you got to find it on your own. I'm not going to tune in to you if you're not speaking truth. That's just me personally.
I'm very humble, right? By the grace of God, I was allowed to see my downfalls and see how easily I could be manipulated or manipulate somebody through my own choices and actions. I've been able to see how friends move and how they don't move. I've been able to see how content creators move and how they're supposed to. I've been in situations where, I witnessed what struggle looks like with value versus someone who takes shortcuts. The beauty about this particular discussion is that whether or not you believe she's controlled or any of this is controlled or not, everybody here, we have the same brain, the same time, the same hour, the same seconds on the clock, where we can get out of bed, we can decide who we're going to click on and watch, we can decide to pick up the book and do a follow-up on what we heard. We can fact check everything that we decide to if we're curious enough. I don't care if you agree or disagree with me or anybody. You can go to the library, you can go to Google, you can do the same level of research as the next person and come to the conclusion whether or not this is factual or not, and then you can move forward how you see fit. Unfortunately, we don't do that. A lot of people rely on a specific person to kind of herd them, like the guy or whoever it is has the staff, and they're pretty much navigating you through life with their source and their resources. You're not thinking on your own. And that's where most of us get tripped up. But we can't really blame nobody for that. That's for us to really kind of look at ourselves in the mirror and say, well, hell, I could have just walked away from the cool table. I didn't have to follow her. I didn't have to follow him. I could listen to you. You could very well be right about some things, but I'm still going to find out for myself. I'm my own person. Period. So, I mean, I agree with both of you. And that's why I'm like, with Chef, I agree with what you just said. You really do have to step out of yourself. If history hasn't shown anything, we've all been under some form of manipulation at some point. And what's going on with her, the more and more I see, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm glad that I didn't like really lock in and follow every single thing. Or let me rephrase that. It's a good thing I listen, but I properly digest the information so that I can assess it the best that I can, so that I can know if I'm about to walk into a frying pan or walk off a cliff. What was I about to ask? What's the point of media if it's all under someone else's jurisdiction?
Man, it's doing what it's always done, controlling and informing people. I mean, it hasn't changed. I think people are just, over time been more educated. You start to see the patterns. They only report certain things, certain neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Be a whole city, and they only talk about like the South Side, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, they broken up. Everybody's got different responsibilities, man. Again, and then everybody's getting money. Everybody's getting paid from somebody. Everybody has a job to do. Yeah, I don't think anything's changed, man. I think, like, again, just it's been happening for so long. People just started having deep conversations about it. Passed on from our grandparents who had their favorite news person. Now you look back then, everybody in the news was 60, 50 years old. Everybody wearing a sport coat. Now everybody's between 20 and 26. And every news station look like Telemundo. You know what I'm saying? So it's entertainment, just like everything else is. Getting you the eye candy, the attractive people they have on there. Like I said, the demographic used to be our grandparents' age. Now, some of them could be our kids' age, and ain't nobody got no clothes on. But it's the same thing. Another means of trying to keep up with ratings. More entertainment, more theater. That's all it is.
As in your opinion, because somebody brought this up in the chat, but I just want to ask, why do you think people voted for Trump? I mean, because let's face it, trail shout outs. You said earlier that there's some people that's in certain positions that shouldn't be in these positions, and we know why. Trump is definitely one of them people. I don't care what nobody say. He's been a fucking terror since he became president again. Don't know how that happened, but it does come into play when we talk about this. In your opinion, why and how did he end up becoming the president again? What made him so appealing that people said, "Oh, we gotta have him"?
All right, so hear me out. All right, in my experience, when it comes to Trump, right? In my experience, he got so much support already just from his not only from his business, not only from his campaign, but his personal life. He was already connected. So, since he was already connected, he found a way to build influence over the years. Before he even ran for president, he was building influence. And then over time, that influence became support. And then that support actually helped him win the presidency, you know? And then with that support, he's able to get multiple resources. And that resources blesses a lot of people, but they don't know if these blessings, because sometimes the enemy throws blessings too, but those type of blessings are actually your downfall. So when you are following someone instead of following the true one, you end up idolizing this person because he has so much support, and the rest is history after that. I don't know.
Bang, 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 bang.
Nah, you was cooking. You was cooking. Idolizing and worshiping the gift of gab, your voice box, how you smell, how you dress, your swag, them building blocks. You know how to talk to people. You know how to shake hands and kiss babies. You got that financial back end to help you flex. That's appealing. Eye candy is always going to forever be a thing. As long as I present myself like I'm like that, or like, oh, I can get you here. I can get you over there. Oh, what? Oh, you work, man, please, man. Or pull the I dream of genie and hit the little wink, wink, and then bam, it's right there automatically. You good. That's impressive. Shit, I'm like, oh, what? I ain't got to stand in line for this. Oh, you him. Oh, okay, cool. So I know if I need to get the hookup for this and that and the third, all I gotta do is, all right, bet. I do you a solid, you do me a solid. We go from there. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But then you realize that sometimes that stuff is not worth it. You're making deals with folks that are operating from a demonic place. They done made deals. And I've said this for the last 2-3 years. A lot of people get involved with things that they don't understand. And you got to be very careful with who you allow to mesmerize you, who you allow to convince you that they're this person when they're something a little more dark than you think they are. It's a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was an old movie, man. He was trying to protect this girl from Satan, and Satan was trying to impregnate the woman in the days. I don't know if anybody saw that. It's like that. The brother, he got the suit on. He well articulate. He know how to walk, and he like. But then it's like you don't even understand that you talk to a fucking demon. Like you really be thinking because a person's attractive or they're aesthetically appealing and they have certain credentials that they're essentially evil, or innocent. A lot of these businesses are operated by folks who had to step on other people in order to maintain their success, run them out of their neighborhood because they're competing with the other person who can gravitate or get the audience over here, the consumer over here. So yeah, media is good. It's good and bad. And I think there's a way that you have to know how to utilize it without it destroying and corrupting you. I'm not really sure if we understand it. So let me ask you a question, Coach. How do you properly use and vet? And well, this is a random one. How do you properly use and vet social media and media itself?
Well, I mean, that's the same thing y'all complain about every day, man. Is people controlling the algorithms. You know what I mean? So it goes back to that whole people want the freedom to do whatever they want to do, and then once they have it, we want to figure out how to way to control them because they're doing too much crazy stuff. So I mean, you can't argue about control 1 minute, and and then you're saying we need more control the next. But everything's good in moderation, man. So it should be a structure. As everything is, that's when everything kind of works, and perfect organized chaos. Develop some structure, and you have to have penalties, man. If somebody has a strike on their account, then they should lose, access to certain websites or to certain speeds, maybe. I don't know, but then people will start complaining about that because of what they're paying for in their bill. You got why do we have restrictions? This is America, so it's a open-ended question, man. I can't really give you an answer for it because all the answers wouldn't be solutions. There would be more problems.
Merry Christmas, Heather Star 397. Blessings to you and your family. Be safe wherever you are right now. Excellent point. Zay, same question. I also want to add on to that question. Well, it's not even more so a question. It is. Because I think like my real thing is I don't think you have to flag people and you don't have to cut people off and all that, but you should be more cautious of what you consume, more or less. So it's not saying, oh, I'm a flag or send a copyright strike to somebody and do all that. I don't even think that's even necessary. But you should be more careful with what you're consuming. But yeah, same question.
100% agree, because I was just about to say, like, let's take Instagram for instance, right? You like a specific post, and that post happened to be, a naked woman or a naked man, right? Or a half naked woman or a half naked man, right? And you like one post, your algorithm is going to start pushing those types of posts. So all you see is those types of posts. But the moment you switch up and say, hey, I want to break away from that norm, I want to try something different, something more, uplifting, something motivational, something, something that can change how you perceive the life that you're living, right? So you start looking up motivational quotes, you start looking at holy posts, you start looking at things that actually benefit you. Now your whole perception has changed. Your whole perception of how you should walk your life should change. So it's little things like that. Like, for instance, I watched the show Lucifer. Yeah. In high, like the plot of the show is for Lucifer to become. He was working with a detective, and that detective was helping him reach the good parts of himself, right? But because Lucifer is shined in such a positive light, right? We often idolize that version of Lucifer, even though the real Lucifer is nothing compared to what's, portrayed in entertainment. You know what I mean? It's little things like that. So you got to be aware of what you not only scroll on your phone through or watch on your TV, because all that impacts how you perceive things, if that makes sense.
So all in all, you really got to change your mindset. You if you clicking on this, then you can't really be mad at what you're watching.
Yeah, but you know what's tricky is, like, one of the things he said, it was real important, man. He said the algorithm starts to show you, and only that, right? So it's almost like it's brainwashing you, because it's showing you the same type of content over and over and over. And if you don't get to the point where you have to want to change, you're just going to see the same content. So it's kind of like life in the mirror. It's kind of mirroring your life as you're sitting there. Is you have to be able to want change in life. You have to physically go to the search bar to input something to take you out of that algorithm. So no matter what, virtual or in real life, you got to want to put the effort in to change. I just thought that was pretty cool you said that, because I thought that was pretty deep right there. So if not, you get caught up in the algorithm. So which is the same thing as in everyday life. If you don't want to make that change, you can complain about the internet all day long, but you didn't put something new in the search bar.
Shout outs to Doug, man. And Vinny. I want to say, right, just a side note, because Nicki Minaj is with a dude who is a registered offender. And guess what? She just got 100,000 more people to follow her on social media. So people know
by reading the script.
Yeah, it's like, so even knowing what people know, they still don't really care. It's like, oh, you're a rapist? Oh, you did what? Oh, okay, well, no big deal. It's nasty and it's disgusting, but I like your music, or I like how you entertain me, so I'll let it slide. And as long as it don't directly affect me, I guess it's not really that big of a deal.
Let me ask you something, because when you say that, they're doing these things to secure their next paycheck, right? So if you worked at managed Chick-fil-A, and somebody went to Chick-fil-A because they saw your social life all the time and they criticize you at Chick-fil-A, that's your job. You're just doing what you have to do to secure their next paycheck. At Chick-fil-A, you would just be doing what you got to do. If they complained about, the potatoes that you're sacrificing to make French fries. I mean, so I'm just saying, so what would be the difference? Because that's that person's job, and you don't have to tune in to watch them. So what technically would be the difference? Because somebody could come to your 9 to 5 and harass you, or whatever your job is, if you was a 1099 employee or W-2, and they could probably harass the way that you conduct yourself, on social media at your job. What would be the difference? Because everybody's technically living in the limelight now. You just may not be deemed famous, and you might not be receiving the same amount of check that they're receiving, but everybody's online right now. So technically everybody could be put into that category. So what will make any of us different? I'm just asking.
Well, for me, it just comes down to my own principles and my own morals. Like once
they didn't agree with them, and they was complaining about whatever you were doing, I'm saying, online. That's what I'm saying.
So, all right, if I'm selling you human meat or clone meat just because I'm getting a paycheck and I don't really care that I'm giving you that, then I can't say nothing about you scolding me over it, because I basically signed up for that.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Because you're saying, why don't they get it? I mean, why would they get it? They don't give a shit. This is how they're getting their check. That's what I'm saying. I think people. It sounds like people be emotionally invested versus looking at this is their actual job. That this is how they're going to go out and secure their next bag. Because remember, unless you're a W-2 employee, you got a check coming every 2 weeks. But these people in these fields, they don't have checks coming in, and they live these outstanding, crazy lifestyles. So they're literally going out there to do what they can to secure what they call the bag, and we just see it on social media. So that's what I just said was, and I'm just saying I'm using social media because everybody's on social media now. So literally anybody, and this is what happens, goes out and picks somebody to harass and to talk shit to on social media, and then people say they're getting bullied and all these different things, and it's like, how do you differentiate between the two? Because technically everybody signed up to be online. You know what I mean? And that's the world we're going into right now, is because everybody signed up to be online. Anybody can do a think piece on somebody and say, hey, well, you signed up to do this, you're online, it's just your turn. And it goes back to how we was in school, on the playground. It's the circle of life. That shit's happening all over again. We're just not calling it the same things. And that's all I'm using to point it out as, not to individualize and attack anybody. I'm just saying we're in real time doing the same shit as we're talking about critiquing it. And back in the day, this was the beginning of bullying. You know what I mean?
Well, all right. Let me ask this question: is it when do we draw the line? When is something that is being put out there toxic versus healthy?
And that's the subjectivity of all of it. And that's the part where everybody's online and everybody is a business owner, because everybody's doing this. I'm guessing with the intent to someday monetize, and that will go over a different portion of your business plan that you probably didn't do. What's your mission statement? You know what I mean? What's your motto? Your moral codes and ethnicities. You know what I'm saying? What are your ethics of your business? And that's probably what the shit you signing it or clicking on the box when you actually get this account, and you just ain't reading it in totality. And it's probably some of the verbiage in there. You know what I mean? That's why people are now getting sued and all kinds of stuff for talking about people on these things. And that's why, again, it goes back to the education piece of, knowing what you're using. Because you think about it, you're creating reels, you're creating videos, the cinematology, whatever the fuck the word is. You're creating little homemade videos and people are getting paid off of it. Essentially, you're a producer and a director. It just depends on how serious you want to take your craft. And that's what the companies come in, and that's when the controlled media, the controlled all those things is, because you don't know what you're doing. And then that's when you become the work and the help and complain about people not teaching you how to run a business and all these other things. When you got ChatGPT out here.
Zay, who's at fault here? Us, the consumer, or the creators that's just doing their job? So we got this wide gap of we individually have to decide what is morally right for us versus, well, that's your opinion versus theirs. At the end of the day, we have to judge this according to our own belief systems. Who's right and who's wrong in all of this? We watch who we want to watch, we listen to who we want to listen to, and we apply our advice and our information gathered according to who we decide to do so from.
You see, as y'all were talking, I got this thought in my head, and it's like I wasn't able to shake it, So I'm gonna voice it to answer your question. So I feel like everything is all connected. So I feel like there is no, the only person that is really truly wrong is ourselves. No matter if you're the consumer or the creator or it's ourselves, because of the lack of faith. because there is no faith, you're craving a fast lifestyle. And you're craving other things that you shouldn't even be craving because you don't have the faith. And even if you do have the faith, you don't have the time to truly practice that faith because of the fast-paced environment that you're in. So I feel like it takes, you have to do the work ourselves, no matter if you're the creator or the consumer. Or like it's all connected if you think about it.
You know, it's dangerous here between what everybody has said so far and what I just read from Mark. Full transparency. I do not want to be one of those people who is ever compromised, or I embellish, or my opinions or my points of views come from a skewed place of biases. I want to be as fair as possible when I speak on certain stuff. I've heard things about Ericka Kirk. I've heard things about a lot of people in social media spaces with these millions and millions of followers. My personal perspective might vary from others. And the dangerous part about having your own opinion is it doesn't matter if a person agrees, there's always going to be someone who doesn't agree. And there's always going to be someone that pushes back on what you say, and vice versa. And unless you are grounded in God and you know what you know and you stick on that, guess what? You're always going to be met with this whole setup that Trail just presented, which is fair assessment, by the way. It's always going to be there. You can't avoid it. If your creator is just something that you're just going to have to deal with, and you're going to have to figure out a way to make sure that whatever you're putting out there is palatable as much as possible. And you're going to have to just accept the fact that everybody is not going to gravitate to what you're saying regardless. But I had to make peace with that. And that's why I don't believe in shutting everybody off of it. Like, shut the internet down. It's not going to happen. Shut all media down. It's not going to happen. Do I agree with some things? No. I do believe there are some grifters. I do believe there are some folks that are panhandling and they're just here for the check. That's just my own opinion. But I mean, you're going to watch what you want to watch and listen to who you're going to listen to anyway. All I can do is share my own views, just like Coach and just like Zay, To me, all it just has spiritual undertones to it. Just piggybacking, and I'm gonna wrap this up. My issue with people like Candace Owens is I'm always gonna say this. When you speak on things that are controversial and they're true, you got to stand on it. It's like when they turned their back on Jesus and they said that they were loyal and faithful to him. And then when it was time to really stand on business, I don't know. It's no different than this. We're in a world where everybody is lying to each other. Nobody wants to be completely raw and authentic. Nobody wants to have their channels taken. Nobody wants to lose their income. Everybody wants to be approved by everybody, accepted by everybody. We can't. You can. I don't want that. I would rather be true to myself Then to have somebody pick up a phone and call me midstream and tell me, shut up, you're saying too much. I don't want that on me. So I would rather not have a circle. I'm good on that. But some of these people are mishandling their positions in power. That's my issue. That's my only case here. So whether or not she's right or wrong, whether or not they satanic or not, that's neither here nor there. What if they are? Now what? What do we do now moving forward? That's where I'm at. So I yield.
Yeah, I'll just say keep in mind, man, that they may not be mishandling it. They may be executing it exactly the way they were told to do so. And then we need to think about what's next. So everybody need to have a contingency, man. You know, the first part of toppling the government is making sure chaos and having people lose total faith in it. And everything that's happening right now is causing us to lose faith in the government. So, like you said, do your homework, do your research, man. I'm listening to nobody else. You know, hopefully something plants a seed and you can go out there and you get the hunger for knowledge. Go for it.
Zay, you got any final thoughts on this Candace Owens, Ericka Kirk situation? Because we never even went there with the whole thing. Because yeah, man, they said that woman was doing all type of little satanic stuff with kids and all type of shit. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna say alleged. We do know that there's some human beings out here that's on that type of time, though. I don't know if that's her. So if you got anything you want to add to this, bro, you got the floor.
I mean, if you've seen, I hate to quote, this is a New York City uh, saying. If you see something, say something. But there's a lot of truth to that. You know, you don't have to tell everybody, but just be alert. You know, there's a lot of demons out there. You know that they're trying to take over, and you can't let them. So trust in God and have faith and stay alert, for sure.
Shout out to the chat, man.
Sensational.
Y'all was cooking the whole stream. I see y'all. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all perspectives. Valid points, valid questions. I started the show off saying glory, praise, and honor to the Most High because I firmly stand by that. I would like us to remain the only or one of the last few platforms that's honest, transparent, and we don't have nobody looking over our shoulder telling us when to wipe and when to flush. And this is not a prison. This is not a scolding session. This isn't a group of biased and bitter adults trying to shame people. We don't operate like that, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for everybody up here. I don't even know how the names ended up coming off of the screen. My bad, folks. My bad. I didn't even touch the shit. The joint just did that. See, somebody messing around. It still say hold up. Let's do that. Oh, it's still gone. All right. So, yeah, somebody messing around with us. See, I said too much, or we said a little too much. Probably. I don't know. We didn't go into no ritualistic type stuff.
Nah, good show, man. Appreciate y'all tonight, though, man.
Definitely. Final words. I'm gonna hold off on that, bro, because that could go a whole nother direction, bro. I would say this: I don't trust nobody in the White House. I don't trust nobody in the Oval Office. I don't trust nobody in the government. I don't trust nobody that is over the age of 70 years old that sit in them seats. All of them wear diapers. All of them. If you wear a diaper, I don't trust you. You can't even regulate your own bodily fluids. So, yeah, good show. We about to get up out of here, man. See y'all tomorrow. Enjoy your night. Just in case we didn't, I got thrown off. Black fatigue is real. Black fatigue is real. I did a whole thing on that too. We're gonna spin back on that. Y'all enjoy y'all night, man. We up out of here, man. I'll see y'all tomorrow, Lord willing.
Yeah, for sure.
Be easy, man.